Hey, yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? This is Reflection of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast presented by DJ City and Beat Source. I'm one of your hosts, DJ Crooked. We got Brooklyn's beloved DJ Goldfinger in the building.
What's up, world?
Big shout out to our boy Never. Rest in peace, brother. Never forever.
Yes, sir.
And we have invaded the Sound Collective studios here in New York. Today, we're honored to have a true cultural architect in the building. From redefining underground hip-hop radio with Stretch Armstrong, breaking artists like Nas, Biggie, Jay-Z, Wu-Tang, Eminem, and Big Pun, to setting off sneakerhead culture, opening the first sneaker boutique in New York, consulting for Nike, DJing at the legendary APT in New York. He's a DJ, filmmaker, author, the first Latino to work for Def Jam, possibly, I don't know. He's produced records, voiced NBA street video games, directed award-winning documentaries like Rock Rubber 45s, and now he's back with a brand new memoir, Bobbito's Book of B-Ball Bong. Please welcome the legend himself, Cucumber Slice. Cool Bob Love, a.k.a. Bobbito the Barber Garcia. What's good, Bobbito?
A.k.a. Make It Happen.
Yo, that was a great intro, man. The title of the book in full is Bobbito's Book of B-Ball Bong, Memoir of Sports, Style, and Soul. It's out on Edge of Sports / Akashic Books, based in Brooklyn, an independent joint. All three of my titles, because I wrote Where'd You Get Those? New York City Sneaker Culture, 1960, 1987.
Mm-hmm.
I also wrote a kid's book titled Aim High, Little Giant, Aim High, which was distributed by Haymarket. And this latest project. But yeah, I'm blessed to, just like in the 90s, we was all about indie, company flow, Indie is F, on the Funk Crusher 12-inch for 8 steps. I'm still Indie as F, Yeah, I can't curse because my kid is around.
That's so good. Hey, Bobbito, you've documented, the culture in so many ways, hip hop, sneakers, film, publishing. What made you want to write this book right now? And
I mean, there's never not a time to write. I've been keeping a journal since 1990. If anybody saw the Stretch and Bobbito Radio That Changed Lives film that I directed, produced, wrote, music supervised, along with my partner Stretch and Omar Costa, who jumped in, who's gone on to do some dope projects, mixtape with Tony Touch, etc. I just love to write. I love to express. I love to document. I've been doing that for other people my whole entire career. And I've been doing it for myself, quiet as kept, up until the last 15 years when I started making films and, doing it in the park, pick up basketball. NYC was my first,
right.
Which was an exploration of New York City's 5 boroughs. We went to 180 courts in 70 days. I'm sorry, we went to, in 75 days. And then the second film was semi-autobiographical because it's me and Stretch. But I don't just tell his story and my story. I tell the story of the audience. I tell the story of the MCs and the producers, DJs that came through. Yeah. And then my last film was Rock Rubber 45s, which I thought was my best by far.
And that was extremely personal. Yeah.
It's crazy personal, but it's also is wild under the radar, right? Like it didn't get on Netflix and it didn't get on Showtime like the others, PBS. So it just did festivals and screening and streaming and all that, rentals. But anyway, that's all the backdrop for, I think I have strength in storytelling. I've been hired by Nike to talk. I've been spoken at Rikers Island, Brown University. I mean, it's for 35 years I've been doing speaking engagements. People like to hear me and I see them, they look engaged. So I thought, well, let me write a memoir. I'm going to be 60 in 2026. I feel like I've lived a blessed life. And I just wanted to share that with the audience that supports me to the fullest. I'm blessed in that, I don't know how the literary world is going to receive it. I don't know how the publishing industry is going to receive it, but I know that, the book release is in De La Playa Record Shop in LA, Poise Record Shop in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. And in Atlanta, we doing it at Block and Drum, which is a venue, but we got Moods Music, which is a dope record shop down there. Shout out to Daryl. So it's like, first string is the people that I could trust that are going to receive me no matter what. they trust my intellectual property. They trust my legacy. They don't, they, you know, everybody jumped in on board on doing a book release without even having read the book. They just, oh, word, you got another joint? Works, we got you, you know? So anyway, to answer your question succinctly, like, never not time to express. You know, we're people of color. I'm of mixed race. You know, I have a story to tell, and I'm not an MC with an album or three that I could tell my stories in that way. So I tell my story with the written word.
I guess what I was asking is, like, was there anything in particular that happened that inspired you to write a book specifically about New York City basketball and how, you know, and your role and how it affected you personally? And I was wondering, because in the book you kind of spoke about the pandemic, and during the pandemic, like, you know, they started like taking the rims out of, like, you know, the courts.
Yeah.
And all, yeah, and then you kind of
It was like a horror movie.
It was a horror movie for you because you love basketball so much.
Uh-huh.
And I was wondering if that preempted it, or if there was anything else that, you know, kind of motivated you and inspired you.
I mean, I think I would have written the memoir eventually. You know, sure, it's circumstance. If you read the last chapter, I'm currently working completely 100% creatively from the crib.
Right.
I'm a full-time caregiver. You know, I'm a primary caretaker of family members. I haven't done an in-person appearance in 5 years. I haven't traveled in 5 years. I haven't been on a train in 5 years. I haven't been on a bus in 5 years.
Wow.
You know, I'm just hunkered down, trying to make things work, figuring out technology, improving my social media, Cool Bob Love on IG, Facebook, Blue Sky, Twitch, you know, whatever, Tumblr, Patreon, you know. And so the book, although I wrote it 2 years ago and it took only 7 months, I don't know how I pulled that off in the midst of all my family responsibilities. But, you know, the original inception for the book was when I was writing Where'd You Get Those, New York City Sneaker Culture. Because I was having so much fun. And that book is autobiographical as well. And what I often do is that I talk about myself, but because of my lens, because I'm embedded in the culture and in the community, if I'm talking about my narrative, you know for sure I'm going to pull this person up and I'm going to spotlight this person. And that's what I've been doing my whole career.
Right.
What was me and Stretch's foundation? Exposing the unexposed, right? So in Bobbito's book of B-Ball Bong Bong, now the lens goes towards the basketball community, whereas my first book was like the sneaker community. And, you know, the radio show was the hip hop community. And then me as a club DJ is like the broad expanse of amazing music that nobody is up on or dancing to in clubs or outdoor venues. You know, and so I'm very consistent. If you look at my career in a wide spectrum, but you know, the book has entry points to, you know, family, upbringing, New York aesthetic. The common thread is basketball, but you know, I learned about WHBI Zulu beats, you know, Africa Islam from my teammates. You know, I learned about Grandmaster Flash. You know, flashes on the beatbox, you know, from being in the park, you know. I learned about Treacherous 3, Body Rock, going to Mount Morris, now it's known as Marcus Garvey, you know, historic, hallowed ground in Harlem, you know, where Summer of Soul, you see that film with Questlove? That's the same park, B. It's on the other side of the hill that happened. You know, Nina Simone, Stevie Wonder. On the flip side, is where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar first, well, you know, at the time he was Lou Alcindor, where he first played in the Rucker, was at Mount Morris Park before it moved up to 155th Street and 8th Avenue. So all this amazing history that I've either been a part of on the mic as a teammate or as an opponent, or just hearing my elders and my mentors, you know, breaking down like, yo, this is how it happened. And you know, I feel a duty to express that. I don't think there's another book like mine, not even close. And the reason why I say that is because yo soy Boricua, you know, raised in hip hop in New York, in the basketball world. Like, what other basketball books can you name that have that type of combination?
Very specific.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yo, roadies and roadies for life. You already know that we rock heavy with DJ City. It's our go-to record pool to download the latest music, edits, and remixes for our DJ sets. So now, Road listeners can join DJ City for only $10.
$10?
Only $10. That's almost 70% off the first month. Make sure you scan the QR code or click the link in the description or go to djcity.com/offer/road to jump on this great deal.
You've been referred to as like a basketball sage, right? To a certain degree, because you spent your whole life dedicated to New York basketball, right?
Yeah, I mean, big ups to Chad Gittins, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, he was one of the producers behind NYC Point Guards on Showtime, which was executive produced by Kevin Durant. They had some big money behind it. It features Shamgar and Kenny Smith and Kenny Anderson and, Mark Jackson, Rod Strickland. The film is bananas. It's beautifully done. But yeah, they invited me down to be on camera, and I tore that up. I did. My brother Dowdy Child, he shouted me out from the premiere. He was like, "Yo, you narrated the film." I was like, "No, I didn't." They just interviewed me. He was like, "Yo, B, you in every scene." So, yeah, and so in that film they put as a graphic, the lower third, B-ball sage, and I was humbled by that because it spent a lifetime to get that type of title, of being a ball player, of being a coach, of being a trainer, being a documentarian, being a columnist. I wrote for Slam, I wrote for Source, I wrote for Straight from the Lip. It's a small hip hop magazine out of San Diego. I wrote for Flavor magazine out of Seattle. These all, I wrote for Beatdown. Before Sasha Jenkins started Ego Trip, he had a newspaper magazine. You remember that one?
Rest in peace, Sasha.
Oh yeah. Rest in peace of Sasha Jenkins. Anyway, so I wrote freelance for a lot of hip hop publications, and I was writing about sneakers originally with The Source, but I was writing about basketball, and I was writing about hip hop, and even when I started writing for Vibe, my first column was about Rocksteady Park, a.k.a. the GOAT.
Yeah. I want to talk about the GOAT part because actually, when I was reading the book, it's like, Bobbito, I know I told you this before, but we grew up in the same building, right? Which is crazy.
You're younger than me, though. I don't remember you.
Yeah, no. Well, like when I'm reading it, it's like such a romanticized experience of like growing up in the same building, the same block. You got Holy Name. Even talking about the playground behind the building, in the back. Yep. And like your moms wouldn't let you go there growing up, and she wouldn't let me go there growing up, when I was young. And it's like, I'm probably like 10 to 15 years difference from you. But it's like such a similar experience. But I want to talk about the GO Park and Rocksteady Park. And like, I feel like you're kind of an embodiment of that whole park. You're like a human entity of that park, which represented like basketball's like street ball excellence and like kind of New York, like hip hop culture all in one park. And it's kind of like you're the same entity at the same time.
Well, I wasn't that person in the 80s. I was straight ball. I would see Crazy Legs and Ken Swift and Doze and Frosty Freeze. And my boy Woody was like the only Rocksteady crew member that would come and play ball with us. There's a funny story in the book about him. Shout out to Woody. He lives in Florida now. But they would be over by the swings. They had the rubber mats over there and whatnot. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the book, but the furniture store, A.J. Lumber, used to be on Amsterdam, and they used to put out the boxes for the furniture. There was a furniture store, A.J. Lumber, and a supermarket, and they used to put out the big ass boxes. And that's how the phenomena of B-boys and B-girls breaking on cardboard started in the GOAT, a.k.a. Rocksteady Park, a.k.a. PS 163 Playground. So tremendous contribution globally to the culture. Because then what happened after the boxes, they started putting linoleum in the back, trash. And the fellas was like, yo, we could rock on this too. It was hell, it beat the rubber mats by the swings, right? Could do spins and everything. So they started rocking on the linoleum, and that becomes a staple in hip hop culture, all on 99th Street in Amsterdam. And I'm part and parcel to that as an onlooker. But then me and Legs become cool in 1990, 91. And he's like, yo, I want to do an event at the park. And he knew I was from that block, but he also knew that I was on the radio with Stretch. So it made sense for him to invite me to be on a mic, because me and Stretch, we had like a very dope radio show out the box that had following. So in 1991, it was called Straight from the Heart. And we were recognizing fallen members of the crew, Taki One, Kuriaki, initially. And then, other members started passing away too. We didn't do it in 92. Then we came back in 93 strong with the stage. And then forget about it. Like in the early 90s up until like 95, there wasn't no Central Park Summer Stage back then. There wasn't no, Zulu Nation was doing anniversaries, but they were doing them indoors. Like the Rocksteady became like that outdoor event that everybody looked forward to. We had 5,000 people in the park. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that, Crooked, but
no. I mean, I remember in the mid 90s, like in the early 90s.
That's what I'm saying. That's when we started it, mm-hmm. And then by 95, we lost the permit because of the community board and and then we had to move it to the Bronx, and then it went to the Jersey, and then it was down on the pier, by 14th Street. But it was never the same. Like that essence of being uptown, on the Upper West, or as somebody, I forgot who coined the phrase Upper Fresh Side instead of Upper West Side. I really like that. But yeah, I mean, that block has a lot of history. Mario Elliott from our building. He won 3 NBA championships. Curious George is from 160. Westgate, same building. Mike Parker, who made a huge stamp in the sneaker world when he put the Puerto Rican flag on the side of the Air Force One in 99, 2000, 2001 for the parade. And that just changed the whole shit, So that's 4 people just from one building that made waves, myself included in that. So yeah, it was very special, and I tried to infuse as much into my book about the intersection of basketball and hip hop in that park. But it wasn't just in that park; it was in, all around all the 5 boroughs, But that park in particular was special because we had a legend in Earl Manigault who was there all the time. That's why it's called the GOAT. It's named after Earl Manigault, And then we have these legendary figures in Rocksteady. They're not legendary yet, but they become as big as you can imagine. And they're in the park. Earl Manigault and Crazy Legs are in the park. And Ken Swift. And I'm 14, 15 years old. Imagine if you're growing up and Michael Jordan, and Mikhail Baryshnikov, I don't know who the biggest dancer is. I'm dating myself, but imagine like these 2 luminaries, both in the park at the same time, for free, right in front of you. No entry fee, no nothing, no laminates, just like they rocking. Beautiful, man. I'm very fond of that experience, and I want to share that in my book.
Yeah. So you've been through so many eras. You've been like kind of a vigilant and dedicated crusader for multiple cultures, hip hop, DJing, sneaker, basketball, and you've impacted them all tremendously, and your life is like a true reflection of the phrase, do what you love. So I kind of wanted to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most in love and 1 being the most out of love, right? Where would you rate your love right now with each of the following? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just going to list them and you kind of like rate where you are, how connected or how in love you are with.
So 10 is the most and 1 is the least?
Yeah. And then tell me why as well. So like, let's start with.
You're going to get me in trouble. Okay, go ahead. I'm going to be honest.
All right. So like hip hop, where are you right now with hip hop?
An interesting space. I come from an era that you couldn't really separate some of the toxic energy from it and just experience it in this pristine silo, if you will. And I don't miss that. I don't miss being threatened. I don't miss being run up on. I don't miss being, on a date, eating dinner, and somebody coming up to me being like, yo, I'm sorry to interrupt. Well, if you're sorry to interrupt, then why are you interrupting, to give me a demo? And I will always make the time for them, receive them, welcome them, be cordial, considerate. But I don't miss those days. People be asking, oh, you and Stretch got to get back on the radio. Like, well, we were on the radio. We were on Apple Music Hits for 4 years, from 2020 to 2024, playing whatever we wanted. We didn't want to be boxed into 90s era hip hop, which was what some other platforms would only want us to play. And that's why we kept on turning. We were on the radio. We were not on the radio for a long time.
Right.
Because everybody was like, yo, we want you to play 90s hip hop. Like, we already did that. And we did it pretty well. In 2023, we got inducted into the National Association of Broadcasters Radio Hall of Fame.
Right.
1998, Source Magazine voted us the best hip hop radio show of all time.
Of course.
I think we did it pretty well. We didn't have to go back to that.
Legendary.
So, there's times when I'm on twitch.tv/coolboblove and I'm playing my music, and I might get a moment where I'm like, oh, play this joint, and I just hear some of the lyrics and it's like cringeworthy, and, being a parent now, and, my son even coming into the room and be like, Papa, like, can you turn that off? Cause he's very, he's not shielded from that, but he's just a regular ass, normal ass kid,
right.
Sweet. And, so
you'd probably rate your love for hip hop like what? Like under a 5?
Yeah.
Like a 3 or 2?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I hate to disappoint people, but if you've really followed me, right?
Yeah.
Like when I started spinning the APT, like what was I playing? When me and Spinner started the Stevie Wonder tribute party, what was I playing? When I was on Vibe magazine for 10 years, what was I playing?
Right.
I would play like a Planet Asia record and an Ultramagnetic record, but I was playing like crazy rare records for the people I was interviewing. Gil Scott-Heron, Michael Jordan, Kevin Garnett, Shaka Khan. I played Rotary Connection for Shaka Khan. Right. Who the F was going to do that? Who had the balls to do that?
Well,
to take that 15 minutes with like the greatest singer of all time and play her Rotary Connection.
Right.
So, I'm just saying, like, let me backtrack, because that's a tough question, and I know particularly your audience is gonna be like, oh, dang, how you say that? I have posted recently on my feed on IG. There's a Invisible Kids Academy in the Congo, and there are a bunch of dancers and MCs and beatboxers, and I'm like, yo, that's the power of hip hop. That's the tool for social change. These kids are like under duress, and they're using an art form to uplift their temporary joy, because they may not see tomorrow, like just straight up, right? There's in Gaza, I'm spacing on a name, but there's a breakers crew, and they were posting videos while the IDF was literally bombing their community, and they're in their center breaking, and you can hear the bombs in the background. And then eventually their building gets hit, and they're amidst rubble, and they're still breaking. I shared that. That's another instance of hip hop. That's not a 2 or 3 for me. That's 11, 12.
Right.
Where what we created in New York had this ripple effect to empower people worldwide to express themselves in a way in the midst of terror. The people in the Congo are being terrorized. The people in Palestine are being terrorized, So those are 2 instances where hip hop is like a 12, 13.
Right.
But if you're talking about rap music, yeah, I did.
No.
I'm like, that's like a 2,
Yeah.
I mean, Pharoah Monch is still making records, and he's my favorite of all time. Personal. I'm not saying he's the best, because everybody, I hate top 5. Oh, no, I'm saying he's my personal favorite.
Yeah.
Right. Pharoah Monch makes a record. That's a 12, 13. because I know he's always pushing the envelope.
Hey, yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? This is the R.O.A.D podcast, Reflections of a DJ. We're here in New York City, and we have invaded the Sound Collective. Now, I want to explain what the Sound Collective is. I got my man Lefty from the Sound Collective here. Lefty, thank you for having us and hosting this beautiful studio for us. Exactly what is the Sound Collective here in New York?
Modern, state-of-the-art facility with tons of production gear. And one side of it is you can be a member and you can come here and pay monthly to use the rooms and the gear and sign out time and our space. We have a state-of-the-art studio. We have all these production stations, DJ stations, instrument practicing rooms and such like that.
And you also teach. You have classes and sessions, right?
We have intensive programs, short-term programs that people can come and take Saturday classes on DJing, production.
There's kind of a community building within where there's DJs, producers, musicians.
Up and coming producers, people honing their craft and learning, and DJs and all these things. And they come here and practice, and we have all the new gear, so they come to check that out and get familiar. And a lot of DJs will come in from out of town being like, let me get a day pass so I can just get a refresh on the 3000s and the V10.
And what's great is that a lot of our guests, everyone from Clark Kent to the technician to Camilo, they come in here and they're just holy shit.
You want to play with all the gear, man? Yeah.
I didn't even realize this, but you guys have studio spaces where people can do live streams and they can do their Twitch streams here.
Yep. We got a whole green screen set up already, multicam, full on switcher. We also do a lot of events here. We're bringing a lot of outside talent, organizations. We got a big event coming up with DJ City, Beat Source, and Serato.
That's part of our family.
Yeah. We did a big one last year with them. We got another one coming up.
For our listeners, is there any way we could hook them up with a deal, or if they put in a R.O.A.D podcast code?
Tell me about it. What else do you have in vision for this deal? It sounds like we're well on our way. Why don't you tell them?
You're working with us where they can type in a code for R.O.A.D.
Yep.
And they'll get a month free, right?
Yeah, on our online platform. We have a whole online platform with masterclass style education.
Nice.
Different categories and everything, instruments, drums. And then we have these things that we're launching right now called Pro Paths. So you can choose, if you're a producer, you can take the Ableton Pro Path, the Logic Pro Path, Serato Studio. Goes through a wide variety of knowledge besides just stuff in that skill set and discipline.
So our R.O.A.D listeners, if you're in New York, you can check out their facility. Mm-hmm. You can do a day pass, a week pass, a monthly pass. You can check out their site. You have access to all the education online.
Soundcollective.com. We also have a YouTube channel that has some of our content from the educational courses, and all of our events are live streamed and put up there.
I hope we can come back here and use your facilities again.
Looking forward to it.
Shout out to Lefty and the Sound Collective. Thank you so much. Do you have to get off exactly at 12:45?
Yo, B, this is the road, man. I got to make time for the road. I see your Mark Ronson. I see your spinner joints. I see Goldfinger being rep by Clark Kent. Yo, that got me. That got me, yo. When I saw that one, I was like, oh, man. Yeah. And I miss Clark a lot. And, he passed away in October. We all do, right? So,
yes.
But now, y'all, we going to talk. I was looking forward to this, man.
Okay.
I was really looking forward. I was like, I hope they ask me questions about being a club DJ. Because nobody ever asked me about being a club DJ. They always want to talk to me about the 90s. Me and Stretch. It's like, okay, we done beat that to the ground. Can we talk about other things that I'm done?
No. For sure. So I thought we only had 45 minutes.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. You're good.
Okay.
Let's go back to the fall in love. I love it. It's really good.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Where are you right now with sneakers?
Yeah, that's about a 1.
A 1. Wow.
Yeah. I only own 5 pairs of sneakers right now. Period. People don't believe me. I can show you pictures of my crib.
Wow.
And I've had the same pair of sneakers, my Converse Pro BB, since 2019. They sponsored my tournament, FC21. I do the All-World Final at the GOAT, a.k.a. Rocksteady Park. I do it in 30 international locations. And in 2019, Converse was trying to relaunch their performance brand. And so they blessed me and all my players at the park. They brought boxes down. And it was lovely because I had extras and I was blessing yo, kid, come on. You go on 50s in 3 years, and oh, word, Bob, yo, good look at, so that was dope. I'm thankful for Converse for that. But, I need a new pair of sneakers, and I was shopping online the other day, and I just couldn't find anything that I really liked. But also the whole reseller market just put a douse in the flame. But I still love the idea of have what I documented with my TV show, the first article in Media History, Confessions of a Sneaker Addict, my book, where'd you get those? I'm proud of all those things that I contributed to the movement. You know, people be sending me, you know, people be sending me on DM like, yo, look at these sneakers I just got. I'm like, come on, B. Like, it's like now people are buying sneakers that are ugly, not even like great performance shoes. Jordan will tell you that. You know, Tinker Hatfield will tell you that. Nike will tell you that. It was an inferior shoe, but it blew up. So it's like, okay, the marketing, it's the same thing with hip hop. It's like 96, 97. Now people are buying rap music like never before. You got artists going platinum, double platinum, triple platinum. You know, before, what did APMD say? 30 days later, the LP went gold. So what you saying? Like that was a big deal to sell 500,000 records. That was like the stamp, you know?
Mm.
But as it exploded, and it was bound to happen, sneakers were bound to you know, boom. Same thing with hip hop, same thing with playground basketball. Boom. And once it hits that level of like it's mainstream, I've been a counterculture dude my whole life. Everybody knows about it. It's not clandestine anymore. I mean, there's still undercurrents, you know, that are like super cool in sneakers, in hip hop, in music, in clubs, in basketball. There's still kids doing new moves that are super fly, you know, being inventive.
Right.
I love that, you know. But yeah, I mean, basketball is like 10. Basketball is 15. I'm still in love with it as much as I was when I was 14.
Well, I was going to ask you, what is your relationship with basketball? You're at 10, right?
Yeah, I mean, read my book, B.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
That's
I mean,
what I'm saying.
I can't say it any better than in those 216 pages, you know. But
So then, what is your 1 to 10 relationship with DJing?
that's tough, you know. I got emotional yesterday. I was on twitch.tv / Scratch Bastards stream, you know, and he was interviewing me about the book, showing me mad love. It went on the homepage. It was like all of a sudden like 10,000 people were like tuned in. And, you know, we had already prearranged that I was going to play some records. And so I started spinning and I threw on, I put out a 7-inch. I've had 4 labels. First one is probably the most celebrated, Fondulum. That's why I put out Arsonist and Cenobites, Cool Keith and Godfather Dawn, the Juggernauts, the first MF Doom 12-inch, the first MF Doom album, Doomsday. Then I had my second label, A La La. Then I had my third label. I'm sorry, my second label was Fruit Meat. Put out Venom Mojica's debut single. You know, she had never recorded before. She had always done guest appearances for De La and Common, you know. Then I had A La La, which I put out some dope Jesse Boykins, Blitz the Ambassador, who's crushing it right now. He did that huge film, and he's written books, and he's painting. And then my last label is Bobbito 45/7. And so anyway, I put out a 7-inch, and I was just showing off. I had the test pressing, so I threw it on. It was DeLuis Avant and Sari Devine doing the Womack and Womack cover of Baby I'm Scared of You. Yeah, and so I'm playing that 7-inch, and DeLuis passed away a few months ago. And that song was like anthemic for me at APT. And then, you know, I there was one night at APT where I threw that record on, and I was like, oh, let me see if I could mix Golden by Jill Scott had just came out. So I was like, let me see if I could throw this in. And at the end, the Baby I'm Scared is like, it's like they freaked it. They took a departure from the Womack and Womack original, and they start singing like a cappella, and then I bring in a Jill Scott beat, and I'm getting goosebumps, and I'm thinking about the Louis, and I'm thinking about APT, because I haven't DJed in front of people in 4 years. You know what I'm saying? I DJ on Twitch. I can't see nobody. I'm seeing the chat. Yo, I got that record. Oh, what label is that on? You know, and it's beautiful to get that response. And when me and Stretch were doing Apple Music Hits for 4 years, all of our episodes, 80 plus, are still up on audio on demand. I couldn't get no chat. We were pre-recorded. So that interaction with people, I miss so bad, yo. I have dreams. I had a dream after Clark passed that I was DJing, and he came up to me and he gave me a hug. yo, Bobby, he very few people can allowed to call me Bobby. Yo, Bobby, I love you, man. Yo, word, yo, thanks, Clark. That happened 2 weeks after he passed. I've had 2 dreams where I DJ at Dante's High Five in Miami, and Rich is right in front of me laughing, just like he used to when me and him did Happy Feet and Leaving This Planet. We did 2 parties together, and we toured the world with that. So I have this. I had to remove myself from that space for family responsibilities. I'm a caregiver of someone who's immunocompromised. I can't just be out there when everybody's unmasked, coughing, no air ventilation in a club. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be irresponsible for me to come back, bring sickness into a home to someone who doesn't have a system to protect themselves against that. Right? So it's like, it's a pivot, it's a real pivot. So DJing is still 10, 11, 12, past 10, but I can't fully immerse myself in it the same way as I did when I started spinning in 94, 95, 96, where, for like 20 years, up until my son was born, I would change my passport every 2 years. I would run out of pages. Be on the road 30, 35 weekends a year, went to 47, 48 countries, 6 continents, playing records, bugging people out. Yo, where's your record crate? Nah, it's right here, B. What you mean? I got a bag of 45s. I was doing that in the 90s, yo. So, I wasn't the only one, but there wasn't a whole lot of us at that point, at least in the space for, the music that I play. So, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, but I miss it. I miss that synergy that you have with dancers who are looking at you, seeing like that joy, me singing, me dancing, I wasn't ever gonna be more technical than anybody I was paired with. I thought what I brought to the table was selection and like supreme joy and a resonance. When like I resonate when I'm like, you could see spirit jumping out of me, when I'm DJing. It's like, yo, music is big in my life, man. Father was a Latin jazz musician, So yeah, the DJing part, that's a tough one. Thank you for asking that. But that's basketball is like plus 15. DJing is always gonna be like plus 10. Yeah, plus 10. But the sneakers and the hip hop stuff, or the rap.
Right.
Rap. Yeah.
Do you not see yourself like performing live again?
I do.
You do?
I do, yeah. It just has to be in a situation where, people are going to be mindful of the medically high risk community, which, and I pass no judgment, but people have to understand that, basically the United States has forgotten and left behind a whole community. I'm not talking about like 10,000, I'm talking about like millions of people who are medically high risk. So when the mask mandates came on board and people who suffer from diabetes or, were suffering from long COVID or Lyme disease or, bronchial issues, they were like, oh, word, everybody's masking. I don't have to worry about, pathogens in the air and maybe not living, like just straight up. Pandemic has been a mother, B, So do I want to DJ again? Yeah, absolutely. If a venue was like, yo, we got far UVC lights and we got the air sanitization like they have in the government buildings and stuff. They don't put them in for the common people, but if you look behind the scenes, like, if everybody was wearing N95 masks and I could feel like, oh, I'm safe, I'm outdoors, everybody's being respectful, then I would do it. but that's just not happening. That's just not how the United States is built. You know, in capitalism, you know, the masses are conditioned to think only about themselves. You know, that's not how the rest of the world operates. You know, and then the U.S. just bullied other countries to stop mask mandates. You know, for commerce, for economy. It's like, well, we see that all the time. People dying, you know, because nobody regulated the pharmaceutical industry. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, nobody regulated the tobacco industry. Nobody regulated the alcohol. And I mean, that happens time and time again. And who does it happen to the most? Us, the three people that we're looking at right now at each other. You know, sterilization in Puerto Rico for like years, unchecked. You know, Don Pedro Albizu Campos, our leader for the independent movement, you know, they imprisoned him and tested like all this chemotherapy on him. I mean, you know, that decades later became like a weaponized. I mean, yo, it's just horrible how we're treated, you know, and the rest of the world needs to know that. I mean, and there's outspoken people like Saul Williams and, you know, and Lisette Garcia, the actor, and Rosie Perez and Rosario Dawson. You know, there's people out there speaking on social justice. And I know I'm going way off of your question.
Are you like quarantining out of like protection from COVID itself, or just all, you know, like viruses that are like transferable, like, you know?
I've already shared with you.
Yeah.
I'm a caregiver of someone who's immunocompromised.
Right.
So if I bring sickness into this household, it could be death, just straight up.
Right.
She's already disabled.
I wanted to ask you, like, I was noticing, you know, from your parents, from your documentary and from the book, you know, your whole family, your brothers and your father, there's like, obviously everyone played basketball. So there's this passion for basketball. And then your father was like, you know, he's playing in Joan of Arc, and you were talking about kind of the segregation between like blacks and Irish at the Joan of Arc, like kind of basketball club.
Yeah, the
Night Center. And he kind of, I want you to talk more about this, but how he kind of started the first interracial basketball team that, you know, because there were these like violent like squabbles and fights between black and Irish, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, thank you for reading that part of the chapter and in my memoir, Bobbito's Book of People, Bong.
Yeah.
And bringing that up, you know, rest in peace to my pops, B. You know, the last time I saw him was in the building that you and I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and his birthday was just a few weeks ago. So he's been on my mind.
Right.
You know, but yeah, he used basketball as a tool for social change.
Right.
You know, in a very like small setting, and it's not like it had ripple effects. Like my father didn't become, you know, a civil rights leader or anything, but you know, he put his work in.
But it was community. It was community based, right? It affected the community.
My father was bilingual, so he would help people out with forms. He'd be at the post office, translate. He wanted to become a family court translator. That was his last job before he passed away. You know, so yeah, I mean, he did great things at the Joan of Arc Center, and you know, as he told me, you know, I wasn't alive yet, but you know, the Puerto Rocks would be playing like table tennis and weightlifting, wrestling, you know. The Irish cats would be playing ball. African Americans, Afro-Caribbean cats would be playing ball. And my father loved ball from growing up on the island. So then, yeah, like he was like, yo, instead of everybody being isolated, let's put a team. I'm going to put like 2 Irish cats on. I'm going to put my Haitian brother on, put my Dominican, you know, cat on, and, you know, yeah, and they rock like that, you know. It's a dope picture.
They ended up winning the championship.
They did. They won
Yeah.
a chip. Imagine that. And nobody fought that year either. You know, they corralled support
Right.
from all the different groups for that squad. You know, so that was brilliant. You know, that was really brilliant. We're talking about the 1950s, by the way.
Right.
So a long time ago. You know, when there was tension in the Upper West Side between, you know, the newly arrived Boricuas from the island. You know, during the Great Migration. You know, like 100,000 moved from Puerto Rico to New York to various neighborhoods, including the Upper West Side.
What's good, everyone? This is Neek from Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast. Whether you're just discovering the R.O.A.D podcast or a day one listener, if you've been loving the content or want more, here's your chance to support the pod. Get closer to the action and unlock exclusive content by joining our Patreon. This is for loyal listeners who want early access to new episodes 3 or 4 weeks ahead, your name in the credits of every video episode, and access to our exclusive R.O.A.D edit packs. Now, for the hardcore supporters, we've got our Tier 2 R.O.A.D for Life subscription for just $10 a month. This is an all-in package. You'll get everything from Tier 1 plus a monthly bonus episode, early access to our R.O.A.D 10 and R.O.A.D Talk interviews, behind-the-scenes content, our In the Crate series, along with exclusive unreleased content. This is your chance to support the podcast and get more of what you love. Join the family today at patreon.com/R.O.A.D podcast. Check the link in our descriptions. We appreciate you. Let's keep this journey going.
So I played professional basketball in Puerto Rico en la Liga Superior, Baloncesto Superior Nacional.
During college, right?
I was still in college at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 1987. So
And
now
you
I'm
went to
getting
Wesleyan,
checks
right?
Yep, I went to Wesleyan University in Middletown, Connecticut. Exactly. So I'm getting
That's how I
checks to
met
play.
you. I met you from Dave Belgrave. He used to work at Def Jam.
Word. Okay.
And I got records from you at one point.
Yes,
Wait.
you did.
No
Yep.
way. You
When?
guys met in the 80s, like back
Yep.
then?
When he was
No,
working
me.
at Def Jam.
90s. Yeah, I worked at
90s?
Def Jam from
When he worked-
89 to
when he worked at-
93.
when he worked
And
at-
listen,
I remember when
I'm
you
going to
worked
tell
there.
you, I'm going to share something funny. I've seen mad road podcast posts and been like, yo, homeboy look mad familiar. But I mean, you know, you filled out, you know,
Yeah, I definitely did.
compared to back then.
Yeah.
And so I never put 2 and 2 together until I saw the Clark thing, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Goldfinger, you know, he's that dude." And then you had Estelle being like, "Oh, you know, Goldfinger." I was like, "Yo, stop playing that skinny ass back in the day." I remember, yeah, hell yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So much love on that.
I think it's crazy in all the years of APT, like you and Goldie was at Lotus. Like you guys never crossed paths?
We've crossed paths a couple
Yeah.
of times.
Yeah. I mean, Lotus was right down 14th Street. My man Dave Raven was the owner. Dave actually gave me one of my earliest club gigs. When he had it was on Park Avenue in like 16th Street. I think it was called Union Bar.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I used to spend there. That's before he opened up Lotus. He's a friend, you know. He actually had Rebar on 8th Avenue.
I used to play that too. Before it changed to Sweet
Rebar.
16.
Wow,
Yep,
Rebar.
yeah, and then was it Rex? Me and Stretch, when we first met, we did a birthday party together. This is before we were on the radio. We did a birthday party together, and there's a flyer for it still. You know,
Under what name?
I just played one record.
What was
He
it
was
under?
Adrian B still at the time. He hadn't transformed into Skinny Bones, or maybe he was Skinny Bones. I don't know.
You guys have the most nicknames. The most nicknames everywhere.
Is APT like your favorite era for DJing for you?
I mean, I think because the residency lasted 9 years, I think it would have to go down as like the most impactful because there was a lot of ingredients there. The management and the owners. Case in point, I used to DJ at Two Eyes. You remember that spot?
Yep.
Goldfinger?
I used to do that spot as well.
With
Yeah,
Rosie
right next to-
Perez, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I did a party. My first party that I ever produced, event producer, was with Rosie Perez. That was in 95.
Right.
That was called Loves. But in 97, I'm DJing at Two Eyes. And it's right when, like, you know, radio is becoming really pervasive in what club DJs select. So it's like, it's a pivot. It's a turning point, you know. And so I'm not playing anything that people can hear on the radio. I'm playing like completely opposite. And my dancers are loving me, but the bar is not making any money.
Now, were you
So the
playing at
owner-
Two Eyes when they had the license. What do they call that? Because that's when Giuliani was in, and he was.
I don't.
Like, really,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Julie 97. It was 97.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're like, yo, man, if you don't start playing more like Bad Boy, Top 40 stuff, like we're gonna let you go. And I was like, cool, fire me. It's the only job I ever got fired from. They let me go. I was like, I'm not changing my format for you. Kidding me? So anyway, so APT comes along in 2000. The end of 2000. I start there early 2001. You know, Citizen Kane and Chairman Mao were there first. That's the starting point. Kane and I used to DJ together at El Bagato, which was a restaurant on 2nd Street off of Avenue A and the LES. And that was my man. So he puts me on the APT. You know, about 4 or 5 months later, Rich starts his Wednesday night. So Saturday night, you got Mao and Kane. Kane's and Mao's record collection is Nutty McGillicuddy because Citizen Kane was working at A1. So it wasn't even fair. And Mao's 45 collection was like stupid. And then I'm coming along on Mondays, right? By then I had my weight up, you know, in terms of records. And then Rich comes along on Wednesday. So now it's 2001. There's just no competition because I don't know what era Serato starts, right? But it's, you know, it's right around that cusp.
Yeah, 2004.
Right? Okay, so it's a little bit. It's okay. So a few years later,
right?
But a lot of venues in New York at that time were not investing in sound
at all,
right? So not only do you have 3-4 MFs that are dedicated to analog and rare records at that. Rich had like 75,000 records. I only have like 2,000, 3,000 records. What you see is what you get, you know, but I know my records really well. I will always play an album cut. The Rich would be like, yo, what is that? Oh, damn, I got that album. Yo, I didn't even think to play that joint. Word, Rich, yo, snap. You know, so there was a lot of love between the four of us, and we're the bedrock for APT. Everything else that comes to APT is out of the four of us, you know. Then you got, you know, years later, Spinner comes on, has a residency, Ellie, Eclipse, Primo. I mean, that's like much later in the APT era. But the first year, we're crushing. We're crushing, yo. And I don't even know that there's a line outside because I'm in the basement and there's no windows. I have no clue how long the line is to get in, you know. But it was a special place. And so, yeah, I would say APT, there's no competition for me. I had a residency there for 9 years. I can't say that about any other venue, you know, because either the venue came and went or I came and went. You know, they let me go, you know. But yeah, that Function One sound system couldn't be, you know, what was it? What spot that Louis had his residency? Cielo. They had a beautiful sound system right around the corner too, you know. But I think that came just a touch afterwards, and they had a nice run as well.
We want to ask you these 10 questions. They're called the Road 10.
It's a feature from our show,
and it's kind of we ask all our legacy DJs, legacy icons.
Okay. Go for it.
These 10 questions.
And am I gonna get in trouble again? Because y'all got me in trouble with the other one.
Nah. You know, this is the Road 10 Bobbito. And you know, question number one.
I'm scared, yo. All right, go ahead. All right, what is it?
Question number one: if you could choose any DJ, to mentor you, who would you choose?
Rich.
Rich Medina?
Yeah. And I say that because, you know, Rich, I mean, you know, look, I could name a litany of DJs.
Yeah.
Who have mentored me without even knowing. Like my first big venue was Vinyl. And it's me and Rock Raider in the side room and Clark Kent and Louis Vega in the other room. That's my first big venue gig, Bree.
Sheesh. Imagine
that, you know? So, of course, I took my cues from Louis. Of course, I took my cues from Raider. Of course, I took my cues from Stretch.
Right.
I'm in the studio with him. To me, he's the greatest DJ in the world. And I'm 5 inches away from him for 8 years of all those amazing people. And, you know, Spinner included. You know, I met Spinner when he was a college student at Binghamton. I used to send him records too, Goldfinger.
Yes, sir.
You know, I used to send him promos. You know, too many DJs. Kenny Dope. I had too many DJs to mention. I'm, you know, the list would be too long, and I'll leave a lot of people out.
Wow.
DJ Muru in Japan. Oh my God! I remember I had to pass him the headphones one day, and I was like, "Oh my God! Thank God I didn't have to go on after him." You know,
The king of digging.
there's a lot of scary
man.
dudes
Crazy.
and women too. You know, women too. Belinda at Nels, Monster, Jazzy Joyce. You know, personal friend of mine before she's DJing. Anyway, on and on and on. But in terms of mentoring, I would say Rich. And the reason why is because our friendship is so dear, you know, so dear.
It's beautiful.
You know, it's funny. He opens up a venue 15 years after I told him to. I went to see him at the Palmer Social Club with Crazy Legs. Check this out. So me and Rich met while he was a varsity player at Cornell, because his roommate was teammate was Mike Parker, who was a childhood friend of mine. Mike Parker's from Westgate too, Crooked, you know. So Mike is like, yo, yeah. He's like, yo, come up to Cornell. We got a game. And then I'm up there and I'm hanging out with Rich, and I'm like, yo, this dude is mad cool. He got the Jordan 2s. You know, he had all the crispy sneakers. He got tapes. He got vinyl. And he's nice and bald. I'm like, damn, this dude is mad cool. Like, you know, but we lost contact for a few years after he graduated. And then he comes back on the scene as a spoken word artist at the Puerto Rican, which I was hosting, you know, for like 7-8 years. I'm bringing Saul Williams on stage and Lemon Anderson, people to go on to become Tony Award winners. And, you know, anyway, so me and Rich meet up in the Puerto Rican again. I'm like, yo, what's up? What you up to these days? Like, yo, I'm DJing. World, cool. Yo, come down. Well, yo, I'll roll. Yo, Legs, let's take a trip. So me and Legs go down to Palmer Social Club, and we got to walk up 4 flights of stairs. It's like the worst room to be in. It's the top floor. And guess what's the most crowded? The top floor. Rich is destroy mode. And I walk up to him, I'm like, yo, B, have you ever thought about opening up your own venue? I said, nah. You know how much money you're making for them at the bar? Yeah, nah, but they pay me. Yeah, but put that. I put the light bulb in his head. And that's the starting conversation to how me and him opened up Footwork in Philadelphia, which was the second location. You know, you had mentioned my boutique in the LES.
Right.
But me and Rich opened up the same one. And because of Rich's records, like, yo, Footwork in Philly had a way better selection of records than in New York. Way better. And he's selling mixtapes and fat laces and fat caps and magazines, you know, same thing like Footwork, you know, sneakers. That business only lasted for 2 years, unfortunately. And now I see him with Dante's High Five. So I salute the brother. Anyway, all said, like, listen, our fathers both passed away within days of each other in 1997. That's the same year that we opened up Footwork. So me and him just wound up getting bonded in a way that's just very special. And the fact that he took time out, this is no knock against any other DJs who I was associated with, but Rich was like, yo, Bob, like, you should DJ more. Like, you should, here, let me show you some things, just fundamentals, you know. And I didn't ask for that, you know, because I knew the code. It's like, yo, I got to just learn this on my own, you know, and just figure it out. There wasn't no turntable schools just yet, you know. But nah, you know, I have a lot of love for Rich to this day. And I'm so happy for what he's doing with Dante's High Five. And I think that, you know, they're going to eventually explode and expand to multiple locations around the world. And, you know, salute, man, you know, and he's still a nasty ass DJ.
Yeah.
And like I told you, I've had 2 dreams where I'm DJing with Rich and he's laughing because he doesn't know the record that I'm playing. Literally, you know? So, yeah, because that's happened in real life too.
Yeah.
You know? It was a friendly competition. Me and him and me and Spinner, friendly competition. You know, all the time. The whole Stevie Wonder tribute, 10 years, is me and Spinner just basically trying to outdo each other with a record that neither of us knew that Stevie Wonder had something to do with. It was so much fun, you know? So much fun. except for the time that I had a faux pas in Tokyo. Like, nobody's singing a record. We were so used to people singing along to the records, we get to Tokyo and nobody's singing along. So I took the liberty to grab the mic and start singing. And Spinner and Keita, who was a producer of the All the Wonderful parties, they were both like, yo, Bob, yo, you gotta chill, yo. I was taking that liberty. I was like, yo, English is their second, third, fourth language. Like, yo, Bob, you out of key. You just really fucking up the song.
Not over Stevie.
Yeah, not over Stevie.
Question number 2. What's your favorite city to DJ in?
Woo! That's a good one. I'm going to break that up. I'm going to break that up into 2.
Okay.
So for the 90s, I would say Copenhagen. I DJ'd there 14 times in like 7 years, from the point where I've started to spin until like that kind of like fizzled out. The promoter out there, DJ Typhoon, just stopped bringing me out for, other reasons, whatever. But yeah, Copenhagen was my shit. Copenhagen was so fly. Plus they had the record stores, and I would come back, with some Bjork remix 12-inch that wasn't released in the US, or, Luke, trip hop, you name it. I was just getting like all these exclusive Scandinavian releases, and the crowd was so lovely. And, oh my God, Copenhagen was just so bananas to DJ in. So big up DJ Typhoon. Then for the 2000s, surprisingly, I'm not going to say New York. Although APT was like as special as it got, right? Something about the Bay Area.
Wow.
For me, and Spinner too. I don't know if he would say the same, but when we would do our Stevie Wonder party in particular in the Bay, there was just something extra in the air.
Wow.
And it didn't matter if we were in San Fran or Oakland. And even, my gigs apart from Spinner and Rich, Club Mighty on Utah Street, like, I don't know, man, like just something was just always really ridiculous in the Bay. And I guess, it's almost like pristine for me. Cause like in LA, I had some really like awkward moments, or, being, stupid requests or people disrespecting my record crate or something. Like Bay Area, like clicked in, like nobody ever like tried to finger through my 45 crate. Like, what else do you have? Like, get the fuck off. I'm not going in your purse. What are you doing? What gives you the privilege to think that you could just go into my bag? Like, what are you doing? But yeah, I would say the Bay and Copenhagen and New York and Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
I know I'm supposed to only say one, but, playing a bomba en plena in Puerto Rico in front of my people is like
different.
Yeah. So, rock DJ together once in the back of the El Museo de Arte in Santurce. And what we did together that night, yo, I'm blessed, man. I've DJed with all the heavyweights. I DJed alongside Kool Herc, Bam, who's become persona non grata, unfortunately, because of, his misgivings with abuse. But, before I knew any of that, like, it's like, wow, like I just passed Bam the headphones, DJed with Grand Wizard Theodore, Rob Swift. Like,
Yeah.
really lucky, man. Really lucky to have DJed alongside. That's just the New York dudes too. And women, me and Natasha Diggs went together in India with Stretch. She's a heavyweight.
Definitely.
Anyway, blah, 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 blah.
Question number 3. What's your most memorable night DJing?
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that. What came to mind first, and there's a lot, but I did my 50th birthday party in 2016 at the Mark Ballroom, which I think at that point it was called the Union Ballroom. Like only 80 people. Clark was there. Stretch rode through. Joe Morgan was there, author, dear friend of mine from Wesleyan. Jose Parla, the, world famous painter, artist was there. It was like basically like, yo, some of my best friends, come through. I want to DJ a party, and for my birthday, and I want you to share it with me. And it was just so nutty, man. You know, by the end of the night, it was like 5 people, and I played Build an Ark, Sunflowers in My Garden. That was my last record. And that song still to this day makes me very emotional. Cuckoo, that the vocalist on it, started tuning into my Twitch.tv streams, and now I follow her, and I'm blanking on her name right now, which sucks because she's such a beautiful soul. But yeah, I mean, that was just a beautiful, beautiful evening.
Question number 4. Do you have a particular routine or ritual that you do before a gig or performance?
I'm a ball player, right? And, you know, people used to always make fun of me when they come see me at a gig, and they come to the booth, or they you know, if the tables had like the dressing in front, you couldn't see. But it'd be like 14 degrees outside, and I'd be in a club in basketball shorts. And I used to always bug people out, like, yo, what are you doing in shorts? I'm like, yo, this is how, look at me right now. Wearing b-ball shorts, like, you know, so wearing b-ball shorts was like my little signature, you know. That's how I feel most comfortable. I want to feel like I'm in a ball court, you know. So I'll be stretching, you know. I go in the bathroom before a gig when I was overseas, and I would run hot water, you know, and I would put it on my hands, and then I would rub my legs with warm water, you know, in the bathroom, because I had shorts on, you know. And then that would like refresh me, and then I would get out there. All right, cool, let's go. Because I'd be jet lagged, you know. You know, sometimes you do 4 cities and 5 nights, and you're just like, you know, a different time zone. You haven't eaten well, and you know, so yeah, I'd just be splashing, taking that little bird bath in the bathroom. That's a great question. Thank you. No one's ever asked me that.
Question number 5. What is your favorite song, or do you have like a trademark song that you would end the night with?
I don't think anyone in their right mind could ever say I had a trademark anything when it came to selection, because I used to like to F with people, you know. And me and Stretch used to do that too. You know, I would get a demo from Godfather Gone and Kool Keith and only play it once. And for weeks, yo, I didn't have my tape. I only caught the end of it. Yo, can you please? No, I'm sorry. You know? But when I started DJing in clubs and venues and outdoor spaces around the world, like, you know, I used to pride myself on changing my crate every gig, you know?
Nice.
And even like if I was on the road, you know, doing 4 nights, like, okay, this 7-inch, I know I could play the B-side in Oslo, and I'll play the A-side in Copenhagen, you know? Because it had to be like, it had to be like new for me as well, so that I could express that joy, you know. So, but in terms of ending the night, and I would have figured this out myself, but watching Rich in particular, you know, when I really started to like become aware of how to build a night, kind of always started like down tempo, and then like he would bring it up, and then he would like kind of crescendo. And then he would like keep it there at the crescendo, and then he would kind of like towards the end of the night, like started bringing it down again. And I mimicked that for sure, you know. Although like some nights at APT, like because I had so much license at that point because the crowd trusted me, you know. They put the no request on the glass for me. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the tinted glass, when they finally created a DJ booth and took us from behind the bar, like to an actual booth, the manager, Alec, he was like, yo, Bob, we put that no request there because I used to be on a mic, like, yo, there's welcome, no request. Or people would walk up, like, you know, Tomcat and Randy would be there, you know, all the time, sitting right there. Sia would be right there. Yeah, like, nah, no request, yo. Can't ask me what to play. Just trust me, you know? So anyway, so, you know, I used to pride myself on being that wild card. You know, you can't expect what to get out of me.
Yeah.
And I think if you survey people, yo, what was Bob's anthem, or what was he most, or what did he end the night with? You'll get 50 different answers.
Okay.
Question number 6. What's your absolute favorite thing to eat after a gig, after you DJ, like the guiltiest pleasure?
Man, some chocolate chip cookies. And yeah. So my last residency was at Beer Wax, prior to the pandemic. I was DJing there. And there used to be a bodega across the street. And I don't drink alcohol. And Chris Maestro was my man, but he didn't have no almond milk there, So I'd be like, yo, B, I'm gonna be right back. And I'm throwing a long record. Towards the end of the night, I get my little Laura's cookies or the macadamia joints, and I get my almond milk.
Gourmet.
Come back, And listen, I'm a forever entrepreneur. I used to be like, yo, how come they don't make pint size almond milk? That would crush, yo. They only sell quarts. But if you just want a couple of cookies, you don't want to buy a whole quart, or the Califia Farm, which is the half-gallon joint. I'd be in Beer Wax drinking a half-gallon of almond milk down in cookies, Like, come on, man. Y'all got to do better than this. But yeah, shout out to all the chocolate chip cookie lovers out there. That was my cookie pleasure.
Question number 7.
That was a good one. Y'all this is what I was hoping for. All right. Thank you. Y'all can chop the whole other interview part.
Yeah.
And just
we will.
do this part.
This
is going to be like, keep it light, because I got too heavy earlier. Sorry.
No, so
no,
good.
you're good. So good.
All right. Question number 7. What's the biggest lesson you've learned during your time in this industry?
Biggest lesson in what industry? Because I'm part of a bunch.
I would say nightlife, DJing.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I think the biggest lesson would be gratitude, because no one ever had to really book me. I mentioned this before. Like, I wasn't gonna cut and scratch. I wasn't gonna hold a blend for 32 bars on 2 records with live drummers. Like, that just wasn't my calling. So the fact that I was able to bring such a positive energy and selection, and promoters always love working with me too, because I'm crazy communicative. I would give writers. I had like a whole questionnaire. They want to book me. Yo, any sponsors involved? Any agencies involved? Institutions involved? Like, I'd want to know, because you ain't gonna book me for X amount of dollars, and I show up and there's like a step and repeat. Like, no, like, so I would be like super, practical about it, to the point where like I was copy and pasting it for other DJs to help put them on, to not get taken advantage of as well, so.
Question number 8. What's your first I made it moment?
In my memoir, Bobbito's book of B-Ball Bong Bong, there's a chapter titled, I Think You're Ready. And so I was playing ball at the GOAT, a.k.a. Rocksteady Park on 99th and Amsterdam. This is after having gotten cut 3 years in a row at Wesleyan University, a small Division III program that I think I deserved to be on the squad for. But whatever, it didn't work in my favor. We move on. It didn't affect my love for basketball. And so I'm playing at the GOAT one day, and Ray Diaz, who was a pro in Puerto Rico, sees me doing my thing. And he's like, yo, Bob, I think you're ready. I was like, for what? He was like, I'm gonna recommend that Los Capitanes de Arecibo sign you to a contract to play professionally. Yo, imagine that, bro. I'm 20 years old, signing a contract and going to play on the island, my homeland, 1 game televised, I mean, I felt like that was my first taste of, wow, I really put like 8 years into this goal. That was the first moment of, if I go hard, extra duty status, something might come out of it.
And then you translated that to like other realms, every realm.
Everything. Right. Every part of my life is go hard. Big Daddy King said it best, ain't no half stepping.
Right.
Word.
You wrote 3 books now, right? 3 books. We know that you do the hip hop. We know your love for sneakers. We now know your basketball love. What other profession would you love to do that you haven't tapped into yet?
Wait, this is one of the 10 questions?
Yeah.
Dang. because this was hard. I don't know, and I'm open to the universe and what it brings in the future. Because, if you asked me 15 years ago, I couldn't have told you that I was going to become a filmmaker and direct 3 documentaries, Um, I think every lane of my life is kind of like completely unexpected, So, yeah, I hope that I still have some surprises up my sleeve, Yeah,
Okay,
for
so
real.
do you actually cut hair? Are you actually a barber? Or it was just like a nickname?
Yeah, I just shaped up my mustache for the interview.
That's
I
what's
used to
up.
cut DJ Eclipse's hair for years. At first he would trade a record. He gave me what was it? The Tribe Called Quest sample was the first record he gave me. Lauren's Dance, I think by Grover Washington. Um and then he stopped giving me 12 inches because I was giving so many haircuts he couldn't keep up. But, yeah, I always joke around with like, yo, you still owe me like about 12 years of records.
That's funny.
But that's my man. I love Eclipse. I was Pete Nice's barber for many years. I gave Search a couple of haircuts, not a lot,
Up at Def Jam?
Yeah, in the Def Jam era. Yeah. Pete Nice, definitely a lot of hair. It's probably my most famous client, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was cutting my own hair starting in 1987. Out of circumstance. I was at Wesleyan University. There wasn't no barbers around. So just tried it, figured it out. The hardest part was the left hand and the neck, holding the mirror to like do the, but I figured it out.
Question number 10. It's your birthday party. You can have any DJ you want, living or past. Any performer you want, living or past. Any venue, open or close. Which DJ, performer, and venue are you choosing?
Woo! Okay. DJ is going to be me. I already told you, my number one experience that came to mind was my 50th birthday party, and I didn't want anybody else to DJ. It's not selfish. It's just like all of us have our own likes and our own dislikes. And there's not one DJ that I've ever heard that hasn't played a record at some point in the night where I'm like, man, I'm not really feeling that one, And even I can listen to sets of mine and be like, Dad, I don't think I'm gonna ever play that record again. I tried it out, whatever. You want to hear what it sounds like on the sound system. You want to hear how the crowd responds to it. But nah, I trust my ear and I trust my gut. So I would want to DJ my own birthday party. As far as performer, I might have to say Donnie. Donnie from Atlanta.
Ooh.
He put out an album called The Colored Section on Giant Step.
Oh, it's like the acid jazz guy, kind of, right?
I wouldn't call him acid jazz, but it was just a phenomenal album that was just overlooked completely. It's in my top five albums of all time.
Wow.
And I got to see him perform at Joe's Pub.
Oh, nice.
And I straight up, he made me cry, bro.
Wow.
I was in the little table in front, like straight up like cracked. He had a song called Cloud 9. He had a song called Do You Know What You're Thinking? But yeah, Donnie, I even said in an interview, like, I don't know, 20 years ago, I think, where I was like, yo, if I'm on my deathbed, the last song I want to hear is Donnie. That's how strong I feel about that.
Wow.
So yeah, look him up. DONNIE.
Well, that was a bonus question.
Yeah.
Your last record.
And then what's the venue, open or close, that you're gonna have this birthday party at?
Dad, that's another tough one.
Got to give it to Rich at Dante's Hi-Fi.
Nah, because I haven't been there yet. I might have to give it to Camaradas, which was a small venue in El Barrio, on the east side of Harlem. And so when APT closed, I moved my residency there, and I did it for 7 years. And it was just like, a lot of people didn't know about it because it was up on 115th Street and First Avenue, right next to Jefferson Projects. So, and if you were walking from the 6 train, it was a long walk, you know? So, but the beauty of it was that, like, I would have like 60, 70-year-old women in there dancing, you know. Last time I saw Black Rob before he passed was at Camaradas. He was walking by. Yo, I just got out. B word, what's up? B old style. Yo, Rob, what's good? And yeah, it was a real special time for me. Real special time for me. And it was post APT, and because it was in a barrio, I kind of flexed my Latin a lot heavier there. You know, so I was playing like bomba plena, guaguancó, rumba. You know, all these like Latin rhythms that stem from Afro-Boricua, Afro-Cuban, Afro-Brazilian. You know, I was flexing hard there, you know. So yeah, that's a good time. I would give it to Camaradas.
That's dope.
Didn't have the greatest sound system, you know, small, but it was dope. It was something really special about it for me.
That's dope. Well, Bobbito,
and that's my last hurrah. That's my last hurrah.
That was the last hurrah?
Well, that's my last residency. I did Beer Wax, which wasn't really like a club, you know, like they had complaints from above, so they had to keep the music down, and you know, people would dance, maybe 2 or 3 people would dance, but like Camaradas, like I would have like, you know, like I would have a proper dance floor.
Yeah.
But it was so like off the beaten path, like it was just like this jewel of a secret, you know. Yeah.
Well, Bobbito, thank you so much for, you know, taking the time to sit with us, and you know, we're looking forward to Bobbito's book of B-Ball Bong Bong.
It's on shelves universally July 1st. But yeah, you know, big up to all the record shops that did release events for me, or are doing in the process of doing release events for me. Big up De La Playa in LA, Poise and Best Eye, Moods Music in Atlanta. Lucky Records in Miami is carrying my book as well. There's a few more that I'm not remembering right now, but yeah, shout out to everybody out there.
Yeah, thank you for your contribution to the culture in many ways.
Yes.
And
all right,
really appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, be cool, man.
Thank you, man.
Much love, Bob.
Peace,
Thank you.
peace.
If you want to watch more episodes from R.O.A.D Podcast, click either links on the left or the right. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and get updated on new uploads throughout the week. Peace.